Hey guys, it's Gawain, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the most underutilized operators on attack, Grim. Grim is a 3-speed 1-armor attack operator that specializes in intel gathering and fragging. Grim has great guns, adaptable secondary gadgets, and a great primary gadget. Good Grim players will gather intel on the enemy's position for their team and frag out whilst doing it. Let's learn how to play him. Grim is equipped with his Buzzy Boy launcher, which launches, well, Buzzy Boys, of which he gets 5. These are canisters that contain nanobot bees that will track and reveal the location of enemy players. You can launch all 5 of these hives in quick succession as there is no reload time and the launcher itself has a fire rate of 70 rounds per minute. Each hive takes 0.4 seconds to deploy, spreading over a radius of 4.6 meters and lasting for 16 seconds. If any part of a defender is detected within the swarm that is released from the canisters, the nanobots will surround the defender and live ping them. When swarmed, the defender will have nanobot bees covering the sides of their screen and everyone will be able to see the swarm around their head. This will be accompanied by a unique red ping icon that follows the defender around in real time until they leave the radius of the swarm. After they leave the cloud of the nano bees, the ping will decay over 4 seconds, with each ping 1 second apart from the last one. As you can tell, this ability has a lot of intel gathering potential to pinpoint a defender's location, but this is all without mentioning the firing modes the launcher possesses. You can use your alternate fire mode button to swap between the default hive mode, Sticky, and the alternate hive mode, Bouncy. And yes, these are the official names Ubisoft gave these modes. The Sticky mode is, as I say, selected by default at the start of every round. When you fire a canister in Sticky mode, it will travel without projectile drop and it will stick to the first surface it comes into contact with before deploying the nanobots. This mode is great because it allows you to quickly peek an angle, fire a canister, hide behind cover, equip a weapon, and shoot at anyone within the hive's radius. However, this does mean you need to face check the angle that you're peeking. The bouncy mode is also pretty straightforward. When you shoot it at a surface, it will bounce off it and then do a couple little hops before deploying the bees. I love this mode and I'm super glad Ubisoft chose to add it as it makes clearing angles and finding enemies not only easier and safer, but more interesting too, and it adds so much more depth to the gadget. You can definitely come up with some insane lineups with the bouncy mode as there's lots of potential to tap into. All being said, it's not great for flushing someone out from a far away position, especially if their back is up against a wall. Use the sticky mode for checking angles from a distance or angles that are straight in front of you when you peek it so that the canister doesn't bounce away from where you want it to go. Use the bouncy mode for everything else, checking behind cover, reaching angles you don't want to peek, reaching angles you physically can't face check from your position, and generally being safer when using your gadget. You want to use your bees to quickly check angles that you either don't want to drone or have already droned and spotted an enemy in. This will either cause the enemy to panic and run away, giving you a free kill, or just live ping their location, giving you an easier kill. You can also use your Buzzy Boys to do a form of area denial, as defenders know that if they will get detected by your bees, they will get shot at. Use this to your advantage by blocking off doorways and rotate holes into sight when your teammates go for a plant. My favourite way to use Grim though is to go below and shoot my canisters through floorboards and kill somewhat unsuspecting enemies, but we'll talk more about that in the next couple of segments. To quickly summarise, you get 5 canisters full of robotic bees that will live ping enemy locations if they get caught in the swarm. You have 2 firing modes that you can choose to use according to the situation you're in, so try your best to safely peek with your launcher out and swing the enemies that get caught in the swarm. Grim's primary weapon options are the 5.52 Commando Assault Rifle and the SG-CQB shotgun. His secondary weapon options are the P229 handgun and the Bailiff 410 handgun shotgun hybrid. I personally use the 5.52 Commando paired with the Bailiff 410. The 5.52 Commando is one of the best assault rifles in the game in my opinion, as it's got a great damage stat, a solid fire rate, and little to no recoil at all. On Grim you have access to every scope up to the 2 times, so you can use whatever suits your playstyle best. As for attachments, I highly recommend, in fact I'm actually telling you to run the extended barrel on this gun because it allows the 5.52 to 2-tap 3 speeds and 3-shot 2 and 1 speeds to the chest. Other than the extended barrel, choose whatever grip suits you best. I personally prefer the vertical grip. The Commando is great at all ranges and good for floor banging enemies you ping with your gadget. As for the SG-CQB, it's a great shotgun that can one-tap enemies left, right and center if you use it correctly. which I did not during the recordings for this video. It's got a good damage stat, a decently fast pump cycle, and soft destruction capabilities. The latter can allow you to shoot your canisters through floors and ceilings, and then shoot the enemy from below too. It's good for rushes and playing fast, but I prefer to play slow and tactical with Grim, so I prefer the 5.5.2 Commando. The Bailiff complements the Commando very well, as it allows Grim to breach holes in the floors and ceilings whilst not limiting his effective range in combat. Definitely use the Bailiff because whilst it's not brilliant in combat, it allows you to slice holes in surfaces like a scalpel so you can launch your bees through it. As for the P229, it's an alright pistol to use if you're running the shotgun, otherwise don't bother because the Bailiff is so much better. This being said, I do wish they gave Grim the Super Shorty rather than the Bailiff, but that's a discussion from another time, probably whilst I'm live on Twitch. Hint hint, nudge nudge. In terms of secondary gadgets, Grim gets access to 2 hard breach charges, 3 regular breach charges, or 2 claymores. All of these suit Grim well, and the gadget you choose will vary depending on the site, scenario, strategy, and your preference. I personally run the hard breach charges most of the time because I already run the Bailiff for soft destruction, and having hard breach potential is always useful. I tend to use these on reinforced hatches or walls that are on a flank route on a different side to site than the main breach. Soft breach charges can be incredible if you plan on playing above a site, as not only do they allow you to send B canisters into site easily, you can apply a lot more vertical pressure a lot quicker than with just the Bailiff. You can rip up the ceiling of a site and rain down bullets and beads to oppress the enemy and pick up some easy kills. Claymores are good when playing vertical too, as they watch your flanks so you can keep applying pressure to the enemy without having to worry about flankers coming and shooting you in the back. Definitely use these as a set of training wheels almost whilst you build your confidence when playing vertically. This being said, they can be incredibly useful for blocking runouts too. Use whichever secondary gadget suits you best, but I advise steering more towards either of the breaching charges as they allow Grim to do a lot more than claymores do. For the prep phase, you as the Grim player want to place your drone inside the building as a flank camera so you can check it before entering the building in the action phase. Either place it near the entrance you're going to come in through or on the spot where you plan on playing vertically so you know the coast is clear when you start flinging your bees around. To start off the action phase, check the cam you set up during the prep phase to make sure nobody is around when you start playing vertically. Get inside the building and use your Bailiff to make a hole or 2 underneath or above the site you're attacking. Next, shoot 1 Kawan Hive through a hole and wait for it to deploy. If an enemy gets pinged, then do your best to kill them or at least damage them through the floor. Do this an extra 2 times in different spots, all utilizing the bounce mode. Next, rotate onto the floor where site is and use your hard breach charge on a wall in a spot away from main breach, or get a reinforced hatch if there is one. Try to hold the cross angle for your team to safely push in and plant the diffuser. Use your drones to provide intel as well if you need. Use 1 or 2 of your remaining hives to block off a rotation or doorway leading to the planter so they are slightly covered and will get alerted if an enemy pushes that way. Hopefully you will have picked up a kill or 2 from your nano bees, so the man count is in your favour. Finally, place your last canister either on the diffuser itself or in the path of where the remaining enemies have to push through to get to it. This way you can spot when they get to the diffuser and kill them to win the round. Grim has a few counters: Jaeger, Wamai, Aruni, Mute, Bandit, Cade, Vigil, Bullets, and Explosives. Jaeger, Wamai, and Aruni's gadgets will destroy your buzzy bees if they either come into line of sight of the ADS and discs or come into contact with the Aruni gates. To prevent this, try to shoot out the ADSs and discs or get a teammate to burn or destroy them where possible, and throw a drone at the Aruni gate to get rid of it temporarily. Mute jammers will prevent your canisters from opening up and deploying their bees. To prevent this, try to destroy the mute jammers when playing vertical if possible. Other than that, try to shoot your bees outside of the radius. Bandit and Cade can electrify surfaces, which will destroy Kawan Hive canisters if they come into contact with those surfaces. To prevent this, avoid shooting your canisters towards electrified metal or destroy the gadget that is electrifying the surface. Vigil's cloak allows him to pass through your swarms of bees without being detected. There is no way to prevent this, but if you're shooting your canisters onto site, you shouldn't have to worry about this happening too much, as Vigil should be out roaming really. Bullets and explosives can destroy your canisters before they deploy. However, this requires a fast reaction time, and more often than not the bees will still deploy, so don't worry about it too much. Use the bouncy firing mode to avoid face checking angles that are awkward to peek without any information, so you are safer when using your gadget. Use the 5.52 commando to absolutely melt opponents with body shots if you happen to miss the head, even with the super low recoil. Know where to position your hives by learning commonly held positions in sight and target those areas so you and your team can focus on that one enemy that you reveal. Use the bailiff to make small holes for your canisters to pass through and play vertical as it's one of Grim's strengths. Play vertical, gather intel and frag out. Grim is a great operator that can do a little bit of everything, but his gadget makes him both strong and fun to play, so take advantage of that. Overall, Grim is a middle-of-the-road operator in terms of difficulty in my opinion. His kit is relatively straightforward with a lot of depth to it. He's one of those characters with a slightly higher than average skill floor and a very high skill ceiling, I find. Learn how to utilize your bees effectively, how to play vertically, what areas to target with your bees, and you are sure to become a pretty decent Grim player. Thank you all for watching, I do hope you enjoyed. If you found this guide helpful in any way, shape or form, please do consider subscribing and sharing it with your friends as it does help grow the channel, which is very much appreciated. As always, all the clips you saw in this video are taken from my Twitch stream, link will be on screen and in the description. Valkyrie is next for the Siege series, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.